Welcome to the Ladies Lounge.
Welcome to the show. I'm your homegirl, Carmen.
And I'm your girl, Lena.
And we have a few things to dive into today. So we have a special guest we're going to have a little bit later on today to join us. But I wanted to touch on something that most people are talking about right now. And I think it's appropriate because there's a lot to dive into, not just on the story specifically, but how it's relatable to us as regular people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Meghan Markle, her interview with Oprah, if you haven't seen it, basically there's recaps all over social media. I'm sure you've seen clips here and there. I think Angie didn't watch the full interview either. So you've seen, for the most part, the gist of the interview.
Right.
You know, how she experienced her racism, what she experienced leaving the royals behind, like all of that. And it dove into a lot. It actually opened up a lot of doors that we knew were there, but didn't know to what extent. But now that we have someone that was on the inside and got to experience that, it was pretty fucked up. But you know, the story itself is juicy, but we're not here to report that. We're here to report how dope it is and how he hasn't got enough recognition for this, that Prince Harry literally left his country, left what was, I guess you could say, most people would say, his everything behind to defend his girl, to stand by his girl, and to really ride for his girl and his kids. And Angie and I literally have had conversations about this before. We're like, damn, it's just so dope. Like, we deal with all these men, we've dealt with all these men that have promised us the world, and they weren't about it. Clearly, you know, there's so many men, and same, I would say vice versa, but in our case, would speak on women, that, you know, they say they're for you until it gets time to be real, and it's like, all right, you ready to move in? All right, you ready to take the next step? And then all of a sudden they fall short. Prince Harry literally has been the definition of what most women would want, obviously on a higher level, but would want their man to do. And it's simple.
Right.
Just defend your girl, be loyal to your girl, and just ride for her and make her feel secure and comfortable. When Meghan walked into that family, and I saw this real quick too. Let me see if I can pull this quick part of the interview. But in the interview, Oprah and Meghan were talking about like how it was for her to get into, you know, the royalty family, and how she met with him. Like, did you know about him? Did you know who he was? Did you know? So Meghan admitted that she had never actually researched anything about Prince Harry before she started dating him. So it got me thinking, when we go into dating, we really don't do our research. I think we touch the surface when it comes to, but how dope would it be if we could literally Google someone's resume, their past, you know what I'm saying, of how they treated women and how they left them. And you know, because you are in the dating world and you've experienced bullshit, you have learned to like do your research and like dig up some dirt if they got any, and see if it's too big or too small to move forward, right?
Yep. I think
There's
people have
something
called
to
me
that.
crazy. They've called me, you know, everything you can think of, the FBI, the CIA, because I can really dig up some stuff, and I could really find some stuff out about you, your mama, and all them.
Yep,
Okay.
all
So
them.
so I do believe that you do need to Google somebody, and you do need to find out who they are, especially in nowadays. Like, you know, people can front and act like they got money, or that they, you know, are a certain type of person, because on social media it's one thing, but off of social media, when you really get to know a person, it's a whole different side. So when you're dating, you know, yes, especially if you're using like dating apps, you have to be extra cautious, because you don't even know if the person that you're talking to is the real person. They could be like, yeah, I'm 6'5", and they're really 5'6". So
Man, you say a lot for the people in the back. You speak because I will say a lot of the times, you know, the first instinct to when you meet someone and when you're dating, is obviously the physical attraction. So once you establish that that's there, then you're like interested in like learning about that person. So then you start dating, you go on dates, you go to the movies, you go have frozen yogurt or whatever. But it's like, it's as you get older and you're dating, you know what you want. it's important to
Yep.
really do your research. Let them fucking call you crazy. I call it prepared. You know what I'm saying? Let them call you a psycho and digging into. And it's crazy again because the people that have called you that, if you notice, is the toxic motherfuckers that have something to hide. You know what I'm saying?
They be the ones trying to holler at my friends while their girl is in the same house. But
Oh,
no
that
names.
part. Okay. And oh, but yeah, I think it's true. Like, I think for the most part, the people that I've felt that, I think if you have a man that's secure, if as a man, if you're secure, you don't have nothing to worry about. If the girl that's potentially someone you want to date is trying to Google you or search you or check your past, I think it's
Mhm.
important. Fuck feeling the judgmental people who are like feeling that you're, you know, too psycho or you're too invested or you're desperate or you just want someone. No, it's important. I think you get to a certain age and even in your 20s, mid 20s, I wish somebody would have told me like really do your research before you start talking to someone, because
Mhm.
when you don't, you fall short with shit like I don't think I've ever said this on here, but I dated, and this is something that at some point I was ashamed of, but then I realized like it's part of my growth, it was part of my journey. And in my
Mhm.
20s, I met someone who we kicked it off so well, and we met
Mhm.
on MySpace, and it was during the club scenes and like, you know, always going to the club. Me being an intern, I had to
Mhm.
always be at the club. And it
Mhm.
sounds like, yeah, but you're giving an excuse. But no, I really did. It was part of the street life. And
Right.
when I was an intern, I would go out a lot, and I met him through Facebook, and like we met in the club, and I got to know him. Girl, we clicked. Everything was so dope until a year later, I found out that he had been in prison for 5 years for,
Oh.
and I don't want to get too much in detail because I'm pretty sure somebody watching this may know who he is. But
Right.
um, basically, how can I put this? Without giving too many details, it was a domestic dispute
Mm.
that obviously was bad enough to land him 5 years in prison.
Right.
When I found out about it, it was even hard
Mhm.
for me to believe because the dude was so good to me. Again, we were only
Mm.
in for like a year, so obviously y'all know that's the honeymoon stage. So
Right.
respectful, never felt anything until after I found that out. I didn't hit him with it right away. I was just like,
Mhm.
let me see if this is really true. Like, what evidence do you have? He's like, girl,
Mhm.
this, and that. And I'm like, shit, okay. So there are some truth to that. And then I started noticing he was a little bit jealous. He started acting jealous
Mm.
in public. It's one thing to act
Mm.
jealous behind the scenes where they're like, why
Right.
are you doing this or don't do this or
Mhm.
don't wear that. But when it was happening in public, then I was like, that makes sense. Boom, I hit him with it like, hey, is it true? This and that happened. And he was like, where are you? Like, I need to talk to you in person. It's not what you think it is. And like my heart dropped. I was like, oh my God, like he's freaking out because he thinks maybe the person did tell me the wrong story. He thinks that they
Mm.
have added to it. Man, I fucking talked to him in person. Turns out it's exactly the story. The only thing
Oh.
is he wanted to sugarcoat it, to
Mm.
belittle it, more like, well, she was kind of crazy too. So this is what happened, you know? Once I realized that, I was like, oh man, I'm sorry. Like, and he's like, wow, like we have such a good bond. We have such a good like vibe going. We're both building together. Like, why would you? I'm like,
Mhm.
because you withheld that information, I just can't
Mhm.
trust you. It was hard for me
Right.
to trust after that. It was like,
Mhm.
fuck, imagine like, what was he gonna not tell me? And I was gonna find out when it was time to like, move in together. And then
Right.
he ain't got no credit because, it's like
Mhm.
that's why it was important. I wish somebody would have told me, do your fucking research, find
Mhm.
out what's really below that surface, because obviously people do have stuff and sometimes they're minor, but sometimes they're really big. Like 5 years in prison. Could you overlook that? Could you have
No.
overlooked that knowing that he was everything so sweet to you, everything? Could you have overlooked that?
Mm-mm. I think especially because my dreams of becoming a lawyer, I would feel like he could hold me back, and I would be concerned about, is he going to, display that on me? Is he going to think that it's okay? Has he really learned his lesson? So many, especially when it comes to domestic abuse. I've been through it. So of course I know the red flags. And if I see something like that, and of course you don't want to judge somebody, of course, people grow
People
and they
change.
they go through experiences. Yeah. And so I'm all for supporting somebody through that. I was actually dating somebody who was fighting a court case at the time. And I remember I was like prepared to like ride for him because he was a friend prior to us dating. So me going to the situation, I'm thinking it's cool. He'll beat the case. We'll be back to normal. He'll be able to, get his job back. Like he was going through a lot of stuff. So when it came to, him actually having to go to jail, I was kind of like, well, that on top of some other stuff. But at that point, I was like, okay, this is too much for me. This is too much for me. And I just knew that it just wasn't, a good look for either one of us. So, and I explained to him later, like, had he, still, because he did end up going to jail, unfortunately, for some time. And I remember he was like, he brought it up, the fact that I basically, left. And I said, had I stayed and when you came out, I would have expected you to want to marry me for the simple fact that I stayed by your side through that time. And he blatantly said, well, I wouldn't have. So,
Wow.
yeah. So the fact that, he knew like we got to a place where we could be honest with each other. And, when he told me that he wouldn't have married me just for the simple fact that I stuck by him through that time, that made me
Wow.
be like, well, I'm glad I didn't. Shit.
But ain't that crazy? Because what you thought, like how you assumed that he would just marry you because you were writing for him, that's
Mm-hmm.
something I think most women would have thought, most
Mm-hmm.
women would. And then that's why they make that mistake. Luckily for you, he was blatantly honest with you, because I guess you could respect the fact that he was keeping it a buck with you. Because
Mm-hmm.
how like shitty would it have been had you gone through all of that and realized like, fuck, it wasn't even worth it for me. I got nothing out of that,
Exactly.
during the time that I
Exactly.
had, endured that, I didn't have the red flags. I wasn't familiar with the red flags of domestic violence, even though I had already
Mm-hmm.
endured being in a toxic situation. And even though I had already endured domestic violence,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't to the extent that I did, eventually years after
Mm-hmm.
that. So, like
Mm-hmm.
I said, man, it's like, even if you're in your 20s dating, it's still important to really research what these men or women are were up to before, and why is it that they left the ex. Because a lot of the times you are going to get some fake ass story, and we've we've talked about this before, where you'll get some like lies, like she was crazy and she did that
Mm-hmm.
and this and that. Notice how the men that never really reflect on themselves and point out the wrongs they've done, because a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
times they are not doing that because they were the problem and they were the majority of the problem,
Yep.
and it takes two to tango, of course, but I just feel like when most men avoid saying that, that's a red
Mm-hmm.
flag.
Right.
But
And I'm okay with being like, yes, I was hella toxica. Okay. I was the one. I'm glad to say,
yeah,
yes, I had some issues in that situation. But you're not gonna sit here and tiptoe and act like you weren't also doing things to trigger me and you weren't doing certain things and you weren't lying and doing things behind my back. That's when you can always tell. As soon as a man says their ex is crazy, you're like, what did you do?
hmm
That's always my question. What did you do? What did you do to make her crazy?
yeah, that's so true. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of crazy that like Megan went into it, but then it's, again, this is a celebrity, you know, dating another celebrity. So it's like it's a little
Right.
bit different. But for us, I just think it's important to value like who you date and how you go into it, because you just never know.
Yep.
But with that being said, I just feel like that's something we needed to touch, because I think most women seek for the men to have everything on the list, like we've talked about in the past, making sure that
Mm-hmm.
they're writing off everything they have, but like what do we have to offer too, and then what, like, do
Right.
you guys match in that aspect? So I just think it's dope to like really just do your research with, and even if you put it on the table, do put it on the table, like, hey, you know what, the last relationship I was in, I'm not gonna lie, I was toxic too. We were kind of like fucking, what's her name from Jersey Shore,
Oh,
Ronnie and fucking,
yes, Ronnie. What is her name? I'm more about Baby Boy. I'm more like Baby
or
Boy.
Baby Boy, you know what I'm saying? We were toxic at some point
Yes.
together, but
Mm-hmm.
I've grown from that. And nobody, I think that's the hard part. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
said that's going to be easy, by the way, but I feel like that's the hard part, is when you're owning up to your own shit too, it's like, all
Right.
right, here's what I did. And then also don't admit it and then downplay it. Like don't say, you know what, I was a little bit jealous, but he gave me a reason to, because I felt like, just be like, all right, I was a little bit jealous. And even though he had given me reasons to, I should have known better. I should have acted better. Like, just own your shit, because I guarantee you will get more respect from that. And then also,
Yep.
you will also get more, it'll be more of a turn on when you can admit that you've done something wrong and you've grown from that, I mean, you
That
would know
part.
more shit because you're the one dating, but don't you think that's pretty accurate? You know what I'm saying? When you're dating, to really just do your research. And by research,
Yep.
okay, Angie, what are some things that you do when you're dating? Like, what are some things to I guess to dig, like, besides checking on social media to making sure who tagged who,
Mhm.
like what
Mhm.
else is there to search, or what other ways can you search?
I mean, definitely asking a lot of questions. I think sometimes we're scared of asking certain questions. I definitely ask, have you been to jail? Have you at least been to jail for one night? How many baby mamas do you have? How many, children that you know of that you have? I try not to go into like the financial part of it, but I think that at some point, that's something that we should think about. That's something that we should discuss at some point in the relationship.
Yep.
Whether they're whatever it is when it comes to their credit, how do they handle their finances, especially if you're thinking about moving in together, because then you're going to be sharing bills, you're going to be sharing, possibly buying a house together, so
Yep.
it's all these things that we kind of avoid because they're taboo and we shouldn't talk about it. And maybe there's stuff that you're embarrassed. I say if you're too embarrassed to share certain things with your partner, maybe they're not the right one, because
True.
now you're going to have to be hiding things from them and you can't be yourself. And I just think it's really important to be able to be open and honest with somebody, but there's a time and a place. So when you're first getting to know somebody, obviously you just kind of want to know their background. Always ask, like, have they been married? What's their longest relationship?
Yep.
What did they learn from their last relationship? I think those are all like key factors of like knowing somebody's past. But when it comes to even, somebody's present, I think that's even more important, because then you know where their head's at. So
Yep.
you go, and then if you really want to see yourself, you want to see if this is someone you can be with for the future, then you can ask the future questions. Do you want kids? Do you want more kids? Do you want to get married? Those things are so important to know when you're first dating somebody, because it's like, if we're both not investing into this equally, then like, what the hell are we doing this for? Just to
That's
see where
true.
it goes, just to see what happens? Like, nah.
Yeah.
So, granted, each situation is different, but yeah, I think asking the good questions, and then if later on you see different, you can be like, remember I asked you, and remember you told me. And then you
Bring it
can,
back.
you got to look through the book. Like, remember this?
Exactly. On this
Yep.
day, you said, motherfucker, you ain't never been to jail. Turns out, according to my research, yeah, it is. It's important to lay it out on the table. And honestly, I think we should normalize in 2021 and moving forward. Let's normalize these questions, even the finances, obviously not get into detail, because that also is private, and you got to also leave some room to invest together, but
Right.
for the most part, I think we should normalize asking these questions, so that way it's not you're weird or you're crazy for trying to understand that person's history or that person's background. Because then when you get
Exactly.
into it and you're actually established a title, like we're now officially dating, we are now a couple, we know we both eventually want marriage, don't wait
Yep.
into that, because when you do, I feel like it's harder. I feel like that's what I did
Mhm.
with me and my boyfriend. We tried, I guess, but I think there was more questions I should have asked, and vice versa, but
Mm.
I'm the talker. I talk all the time, and I'm the open book and stuff, but I feel like
Right.
with me, I was more so protecting him. I was more like, are you sure you want to dive into this? I got 2 kids,
Mm.
2 baby daddies. You sure you want to do this? Because I
Mhm.
don't want you to take it back later. And then especially
Right.
when that's another thing, dating with kids is like another thing, because it is not just you. It's like you got to protect yourself, but you're protecting your kids as well.
Mhm.
So I think we should
Yep.
normalize for sure in 2021 and moving forward. Let's normalize asking the questions that people say we're crazy for, But yeah, man, I just thought it was just interesting. And if you have not seen the Meghan Markle interview with Oprah, I suggest you watch it. I just think it's so much to soak in from that. And just like look at your own relationship for, because man, again, Prince Harry just ain't getting enough recognition for that. But really,
Mhm.
that's all the cheeseman that I have. I did want to dive into our trip. So if you follow us on social media, Angie and I took a little trip to Yosemite, and let's just say things got a little crazy. So Angie busted her ass.
And it wasn't like it wasn't like a little like doo-doo. It was
Nah.
full on boom. It's
Boom.
you know when you see somebody fall and you're like, yo, are you okay? Like
It was so bad. My kid was like, "Are you okay?" Angie and I are just not as young as we used to be. You know what I'm saying? And I think we forget sometimes because we're young at heart. Right?
like I wish somebody would have recorded this. And the good thing is that I know how to laugh at myself. I'm super clumsy. So
Yeah,
I've
same.
how to fall. Like I really learned how to fall. But I really thought I was going to be making it across. So just to paint the picture for you guys, we're at the snow with our kids and Carmen had already like crossed on the other side. It was like this little piece of like water that we had to like jump over. So the other side was ice too. But here I am, my fat ass is out on the corner of it trying to like leap, trying to leap onto the other piece of ice. Tell me why it cracked. Okay, because my fat ass was on the edge, it cracked. And then when I tried to jump on the other side, it cracked too. So here I am, like literally falling on my face because my fat ass cracked the ice on both sides. And
by the way, Angie tried to even say, like she was telling her daughter, do it like this. She was like, do this, okay? I'm gonna watch me. So we watched, and then her daughter's like, maybe I shouldn't do it like that, mom. I was like, Angie, I specifically showed you this side because there was like, okay, so basically there was like a little grass area, but it seems as though the ice was like on, I don't know, it looked like somebody put a pile of ice on top. So Angie thought it's gonna, like, maybe you didn't think it's gonna hold my weight if I jump off, but she stepped on it, right, and then did the jump, and when she jumped, it didn't bounce, it didn't help her bounce a little bit. No, it went down with her. So she fell, and then she, like you said, you fell across, and she landed on her ass. But it was loud. Yeah, I was like, boom. So I thought she broke something. I was like, oh my god, like, are you good? And she was cracking up so much she couldn't breathe. I was like, wait, is that the nervous laugh? Like, are you good? And you're like, nah, I'm good. You ate shit that day.
Because I was laughing so hard because I'm always falling. Like there were times when I would play soccer and you're running in the middle of the field and I would just fall for no reason. Nobody around me, nobody guarding me, and I would just fall for no reason. So
it was them ghosts, man.
So funny though. Like I was definitely hurting the next day because my knee definitely busted on that ice. It was, and like you said, it made a sound. It wasn't like a it was literally like boom.
Boom. We're like, are you okay? And like I wanted to laugh, but then I didn't know if Andrew was laughing the nervous laugh or she was like hurting for real. And I was like, you good? I wanted to laugh like, you good, Angie? And just like, I can't breathe. I was like, you can't breathe? You're like, no, I can't breathe because I'm laughing. It was a hard stomp. And then we get over that, and we hadn't even gone. Oh, actually, we hadn't even gone deep in yet. Was it the next day?
The next day we went back.
Yeah, so the next day we went into Yosemite, but we went deeper to like try to get like what yeah. Say it again.
So we were trying to get to the Yosemite Valley from basically like the Oakhurst area.
Yeah. So I didn't know. I knew I got car sick. Like I knew that that's something that happens to me, but I was like, if I'm in the front, I'm cool as long as I'm paying attention to the road, which I was. I wasn't on my phone or anything. Andrew was driving, and we started getting higher and higher, and I'm like, woo, a little woozy. And Angie's like, you good? I was like, I don't know. Like, something's wrong with me. And she's like, girl, I could pull over. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm trying to like tough it out. It got so bad that I had to pull over and literally breathe. And just like breathe, because she stayed in her car. She was like, breathe, like take a deep breath in. And here I was on the side of the road,
I'm
butt fuck Egypt. I'm like, girl, I can't. So like I had to like do a little meditation there for a minute to regather myself. But it was like the shittiest feeling ever. If you've ever been car sick or motion sickness of any kind, you know it's hard to shake that. Like I couldn't shake it. My daughter was feeling like shit, so I felt bad. And I was like, man, I'd rather be sick more than her, because it was her birthday weekend. And oh man, it was just a hot mess. We finally got to the bottom and just like, should we turn around? And I was like, I kid you not. When she said, should we turn around? I was tempted to be like, yes, let's just turn around. Fuck this trip. You fell. I can't fucking breathe. I give up, man. But no, we made it. We made it. We had fun. We ended up going all the way in. We saw the Half Dome. We saw the beautiful forest. We saw, man, we were so far deep. We saw a deer die. It was so sad, man. Literally, the guy hit it, and like apparently he hit it 3 times. Angie and I pulled over, of course, because we're like, what the fuck? So the deer was there. It was so sad. The other deers like were on the other side, waiting for him, and you could clearly see it was dead.
Yeah, they were like the little homies just waiting on him, like, get up, cuz.
Get up, cuz. Come on.
And then
get up, Craig.
and then we literally saw it take its last breaths, and I was like, okay, it's done. And
Andrew and I literally stayed there, like, and we were both teary-eyed, and it was like a moment of silence. And then we told the kids not to get in the car, out of the car, so they stayed in the car. They didn't see, but Andrew and I were there, like we knew him or something. It was fucked up. Not Bambi. So yeah, it was so fucked up. But other than that, we had fun, man. Honestly, we need to do more girl trips like that. We're gonna share a little clips of what we did. We also did some snow. What is it? I guess you could say is it's not snowboarding. It's
like snow, like what do you call it? Sledding, sledding. Yes.
We did some sledding together, and then at some point Angie swore we were gonna slide with nothing on us but our butt. But our butt was so warm it melted the ice, so we didn't even slide. It was like
but like going down.
La nalga was in the middle right there. I was like, oh, Angie, your butt wet. We weren't prepared. We pulled the ghetto, man. We didn't even have legit snow gear.
On the same sweats I have on right now. Look at that.
Yeah, we were literally in sweats. We doubled, triple layered, and we called it a day. But it was fun, you know. We had fun for the most part. So we're gonna give you guys a little glimpse of that. And by the way, if you haven't already followed us on social media, please do so. Quick plug: it's Ladies Lounge Podcast, right?
Yeah.
I always forget what our handles are, but yeah. Please follow us. But without further ado, we want to dive into the juicy part of our show. So today we have a special guest. Angie, take it away.
All right, girls. So you know how we have tons of listeners, tons of guy listeners who have been wanting a guy to come on here. So we had to invite one of our good friends. Since it's Thursday, we'll call him a throwback friend. So our throwback friend. People from the Valley will know who he is when I introduced him as T. Cali from the Valley. Otherwise, what do you go by now? Travis on the beat?
Travis on the beat, Travis Sounds, T. Cali from the Valley still. Depends on where I'm at,
And he's also a man of many hats, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, man. We're going to dive into all that before we cut out. But right now we're going to get to the fun part, because I feel like we've been teasing for a while that we're going to have a male, perspective on certain things that we talk about. When we first started the podcast, we said this podcast is going to focus on, talking about things that we women talk on a daily, whether it's relationships, sex, friendships, divorces, everything. But as our fan base started to grow, we started to notice there was a lot more men that were like, you need a man on there. You need a man on there. No, the goal is to have a man eventually give us tell us what we don't know, because maybe we're speaking out of pocket. And so this is where you come in. You are our first male guest outside of Angie's ex that we had on, but that was an exception because that was like a little game that we did, which we're going to do eventually again. But you are technically our first male guest to really get down and dirty with some of these questions that we have, because a lot of like our biggest fan base, of course, is women. And we have questions sometimes where Angie would throw it at me or I'll throw it at her. And we're like, man, I don't know. Like, I think this is what men think. And then Angie would be like, well, I think this is what men think. So you're going to answer these questions, only a couple of them. They're not too deep. You don't have to overthink. Just give us what you think as a man. Put your experience and at the same time, what you think the general man out there would probably think. So I'm going to let Angie start off with the first question, which is a good one because she actually personally dealt with this. So what is it?
And funny enough, Travis knows somebody who knows the guy. And I already talked to you, T, about this. So what does a guy mean by you're out of my league?
Whew, good question. All right.
Because like we have what we think it means when they say those things. And a lot of the times maybe we may act a little defensive. So we're going to tell you what we think after you tell us what a man means when he says that. When a guy's like, everything's going good, all of a sudden he's like, nah, you know what? You're too way out of my league. Like, what do you mean? What does that exactly mean?
So I'll start with my experience first. So I've been in a situation where I dated somebody who I felt like they were out of my league.
I think I remember who.
And you told her this?
In the long run, at the end I did, but not in the beginning because I'm like, she's bad. Like, let's go. But as I'm dating her, it's like I knew I couldn't keep up with where she was at that point in my life. Personally, it's like she was on a level I was trying to get to, and I wasn't there yet. So I had to make a mature decision, and in that situation, because I felt like I couldn't reach where she wanted me to be at, as far as like just everything that was going on, like
meet her expectations.
Meet her expectations, like the way she carried herself. Like, don't get me wrong, I carry myself a certain way too. Like, I'm up there too. But
you top notch. You top tier.
Yeah, I'm top tier. You feel me? Top five. But she was like, it made me want to step my game up, right? She made me want to step my game up, which is good. But at the same time, I wasn't there mentally. Like, I needed some more growing to do, So I was like, oh, I gotta let this one go, even though she was bad, So damn. I think maybe for him, he felt like you're the type of woman that he wants, but he's not ready to meet you on a certain level that you want him to meet you on just yet.
Do you think?
So maybe.
Do you think partially like it's intimidation? Like he may be slightly intimidated by her.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, for me, like, she had her stuff like all the way together. I had it together, but she had it together. So that's a big difference. So it's definitely intimidating. And of course, they'll say like, "Oh, certain things don't matter," and blah blah blah. But as a man, you still feel like, well, I want to be there on the same level as you. Even though like I feel like I had a lot to bring to the table, I still knew I couldn't meet her where she was at. So I feel like, I just had to make the mature decision to let that go. Even though she was, like I said,
fire.
She was fine. But
I think with that, it's like I can respect that. And I was telling Angie, I think it's like it's dope, when a man recognizes if they know that they can't meet that and step aside. But it also sucks because sometimes men will say things like that and it's like, well, you may feel that because maybe you're intimidated, but
Mhm.
in my heart, in my mind, I'm thinking you already meet my match. Like I'm thinking
Mhm.
we're good, and I'm
Mhm.
allowing you to continue to DM me, to continue to text me and call me
Mhm.
because there's something about you that I like. So when he hit her with the, I don't think that, or I think you're out of my league, it was a little more like a shocker, and which sucks because, like I said, we can respect the fact that people can be honest like you. You can be honest
Mhm.
and recognize, like, man, I want to be all this for you. I'm just not there with you yet. But I also feel like there's men that know when women are out of their league and they still pursue it. So they'll say, like, man, you way out of my league, but what's up? Where are we
Yeah.
going? What are we doing? And I get a
Yeah.
lot of that in my DMs, like a lot
Yeah.
of men
Mhm.
will tell me, like, oh, you're way out of my league, but shit, might as well shoot my shot. And I'm like, I can respect that too. Like, because you just never know when it's gonna land.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, you always got to shoot your shot, right? I've definitely done that too. Because hey, you never know. Sometimes you approach a situation like it's like you just try and see what happens, and if they bite, it's like fishing. Throw off the rod, you got the bait on there.
Yes.
You get a little tug, and you
Yes.
try to will it in. And if they will in, then you're gonna go for it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But you
So
still know they're out of your league though,. But you still gonna try. It depends.
Angie, I mean, what did you think? Because okay, now hearing his,
Mhm.
perspective, when he hit you with the "you're out of my league" and then kind of like backed off, or you noticed that he wasn't hitting you up as much, what did you
Mhm.
think that he really meant? Did you think he was accurate with that, or did you think something way different?
Um, I think because we had talked about his insecurities, I kind of already expected that, and I felt myself like reassuring him.
Mm.
And I know what it's like to be the insecure one in the relationship. So I almost saw a reflection of what I had been in my past relationships. And I was like, damn, I was hella annoying. Like, I should not be, insecure in a situation where I'm that bitch. Like, why am I sitting here questioning who I am just because if anything, I think a man who is in that situation, or even a woman, if you're with somebody that you feel is quote unquote out of your league, kind of think like, well, I was able to attract them. So it's got to be something about me that they like. And so that's kind of how I started thinking about myself. Like, okay, there's something about me that this guy, because again, he checked off the boxes, he checked off
Mhm.
some extra ones, and I was like, this is it, this is the guy that I've always wanted. And then he hits me with the "you're out of my league," and I was like, but wait, like, so I think in your situation though, Travis, because I could have sworn I know who it is, and I think I remember the time frame. And I think that when a woman sees the potential of a man, she's attracted to that as well.
Mhm.
So she was probably attracted to you at the time because she, saw your potential. And I'm sure if you want to compare who you are now to who you were then, you'll see that you probably did raise the bar, up to
Mhm.
the expectations that she wanted. But whether she was there to deal with it or not, or to be there along for the ride, that was really up to her. So it
Yeah.
kind of sucks that you felt like you needed to back away. I can understand it, but it just sucks because when a woman invests into a man, she really sees the potential in him. So
Mhm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
That is true. We do see the potential a lot of the time. So who's to say, like, she probably would have been understanding of your situation if you would have allowed that chance to happen, that opportunity to happen. Like if you would have
Mhm.
said, honestly, I think I have potential to give you everything that you seem to be seeking in a man, because we are obviously physically attracted to each other. We kind of like the same things, or we vibe the same way. But I don't feel, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I just don't feel like I have all my ducks in a row just yet. And I don't
Mhm.
want that to eventually like break us up. Had you maybe been open to her with that, maybe she would have been like, you know what? I respect the fact that you're even honest enough to tell me, that you want to build and you want to build more for yourself. And I think
Mhm.
that in turn would be like a turn on for a woman, because they're like, man, you know what you want. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But like
Mhm.
I said, I think there's some to the fact that you were honest enough to back off and allowing her to, move forward while you get yourself together. I think there's a lot of
Mhm.
value in that. It's dope when a man can recognize that, because I feel like it's toxic when you just shoot your shot and you're just going for it, and really, like, damn well you still got bills you got to pay, damn well your credit's still fucked up, damn well,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, like, and a lot of men won't put that on the table or won't even address it, because they're not even thinking about it being an issue, and that just kind of shows you
Mhm.
their immaturity, so
Right.
Yeah.
so you were a little more mature and you recognize that, so that's dope.
Right.
I think it's important, to have that mouse perspective, because like I said, Angie and I will go back and forth with like what we think, but it's true. I think at least you kind of gave her that. Don't you feel like, Angie, like he gave you that, like, okay, validation of like, so it isn't you, it isn't me, it is you, like there really is
Right.
Yeah.
something you got to get together, right?
Yeah, I definitely felt like he still had some, healing to do. And obviously, I'm always, on that path of understanding my triggers and the things that, I've gone through and learning from them and growing from them. And I feel like he was too, but just maybe on a different level and maybe at a different pace. So
Mhm.
I think I felt about this, like I felt hurt about the situation, but then I was more like, well, it could have been worse. I could
It
have
could have been worse.
invested, or he could have been pretending to be something he wasn't. And he was like, no,
Right.
I'm too tired. I'm too tired. I'm not
Right.
about to sit here and keep pretending like I'm somebody I can't. Because eventually people get tired of pretending or wearing a mask. And I
Mhm.
low key feel like it was that. I low key feel like it wasn't the insecurity. Well, maybe it was, but it was also him not being who he says he is.
What Travis said in the beginning, he did say, he's like, sometimes we'll shoot our shot knowing that that's out of our league, but we'll
Yeah.
see if it lands or something sticks,
And
Mhm.
we'll try to make an adjustment.
Yes. Yeah.
We
Yep.
score, we made the basket. Now it's like, okay, now we gotta play defense.
Yep.
now
Yep.
we gotta apply that full court pressure.
Right.
But
Yep.
it becomes a lot of work, and then you can't keep up, and then
Yeah.
that's when you retract and you call timeout. You
Yeah.
try to drop a new play, and then you ain't got no new plays. You run out of
'Cause
plays. and
We've
it's over.
had friends that have dealt with something like that where, and I've actually dealt with it myself, but I didn't go too deep into dealing with someone like that. But we had friends that have dealt with something like that, and it was too late by the time they found out
Mm.
they weren't who, like they should have said, you're out of my league, and kept it at that from the DM. And it
Mhm.
didn't. Unfortunately, it went too far. So fellas, if you're listening, like we can respect you saying that and then backing away, as opposed to
Mm.
you faking the funk and just dragging it on and then it being toxic later. Because the last thing you want is everything to just come out eventually, because what's in the dark eventually comes out. The last thing you want
Mhm.
for it to come out and then it becomes a toxic situation where you can't even have a discussion. It's the argument. Why didn't you tell me you couldn't put up with this? Why didn't you tell me you couldn't live this lifestyle? You know what I'm saying? So you're
Mhm.
better off
Yep.
just putting it up in the front, even if it's gonna make the other person feel some type of way. Like Angie felt like, man, what did I do? Like,
Mhm.
are you
Right.
sure you're not just saying that so you can cop out? You know what I'm saying? So I think we
Mhm.
can respect that. I think it's safe to say we can all respect that.
Yep.
That's a good one. So another one of our, what do guys really mean is men DM about the pictures instead of commenting. So this happens a lot. Okay. This actually recently happened to Angie, but it happens to me a lot, man. And I think with me, it's understandable because, in the Valley, most people know who I am. And
Mhm.
so there's a lot of men that are taken and they'll have like the picture of both men, and the girl and him,
Mhm.
and then they'll send me a DM talking about, you look beautiful, and with all due respect, you look amazing. And it'll be very respectful messages, and then it'll be some like raunchy ones, but yet it's not in the comments, it's in the DMs. So I have my opinion as to why, certain
Mhm.
men do that. But why do you think men do that? Like, because there's a lot of them too that have been addressed, and then they'll say, it's nothing, I'm just commenting. And it's like when they address them, they get defensive. It's like, no, well, now tell me why you really feel the need to DM me instead of commenting.
I'm going first.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So it depends on the type of man. Like, if you're married or you're in a relationship, then they're doing it obviously because they don't want anybody to know that. They don't want to look thirsty in the comments. First of all, you don't want to look thirsty in the comments, and then they want to keep it private because they have a significant other. You know, what could be a wife, wives with an S, or it could be,
Mhm.
girlfriends with an S. Um, now, if you're single like me, so you might do that because you don't want to look too thirsty. I know I've done that.
So
because
you've
I don't
done it.
wanna-
I was gonna ask you. Okay, so you've done it.
Yeah, I've done that. Like, I'm gonna reply to the Instagram story. I'm gonna send that picture in the DM and say a comment, leave a comment, like, because I don't want to look like
Not you, T, not
Yeah,
you. I
I don't
expect more from you.
I mean, I don't want to look thirsty in the I mean, I feel like we've all done it, we females too.
Guilty.
But yeah, but for me personally, I've done that, but it's because
Yeah.
I don't want to look thirsty in the comments, or there's only so many fire emojis you can leave, and
That's true.
it's
Yeah.
just so it's kind of like you trying to take it to another level to develop a conversation in private. It's really not
Mm.
that private, but it falls back to the category of kind of like shooting your shot. But that's for single men. For married
Right.
men and people that are taken, of course, they're trying to keep it on the hush hush and see how you react, see if you'll bite.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. See,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And the fact that like you've done it before, I'm not judging you. Like, I think you're right. At some point,
Yeah.
we all, have done a sneaky move to get
Mhm.
their intentions out. So like, for instance, you have done it before because you are trying to get that conversation started, and
Mhm.
like, by sending the picture, that's how you get the conversation started. But and also the whole, like, you're single, so why not just leave it in the comments? It's like, well, I don't want to come off as too thirsty. You
Mhm.
mean you didn't see the last 5 fires I put on all 5 pictures? And so now that you didn't see it, I'm gonna make you see it in this DM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
Okay, I can respect that, and I understand that, but I just feel like it sucks, man. I've had men who I know their girl, like
Mhm.
not, they're not my best friends or like we ride or die or anything, but
Mhm.
I've had their men DM me my pictures, and obviously at that point I know, I'm like,
You know where it's leading to.
right. You're
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
see if I'm gonna like feed that,
Mhm.
Obviously they get no response and stuff like that, because instantly, by the way, fellas, I hope y'all know this. It's a turn off if you are dating someone that I've been around, or someone that the
Mhm.
girl has been around. Like peep that. If you have a girl that is friendly with a lot of people, why the fuck would you think it's okay? And I bet he's done it to different females and has gotten his way, you know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah, for
And it's
sure.
fucked up. But I couldn't even catch myself. Like, I kind of felt like I was up against the wall, because I'm like, man, should I tell her? Should I tell
Mhm.
her like her man is out here? But then you don't want to open that door and then her be like, well, what did you do to invite him in?
Yeah.
Or you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I just left it as is. But I just feel like there's different intentions for different things. And we've had even friends, like close friends, do stuff like that. So Angie and I have talked about this when we're like, dude, this is the homie, and like, why the fuck does he feel the need? Now, do you feel like as a friend, he was trying to maybe open up a different door? Like, if it's
Actually, let me add to that because that's a good point. So Carmen's basically saying, like this guy is
Mhm.
a friend, but he like, does the whole DM thing. But
Mhm.
me and you, we've been friends for a really long time and we
Mhm.
compliment each other all the time.
Mhm.
So like how can you tell the difference between like a genuine compliment, hey, you look good, hey, you're looking nice in that outfit, whatever, versus hey, I'm trying to like
he's trying to cross
take you
that
away for
line,
the
that friendship
weekend.
zone?
Mm-hmm.
Give us
Oh.
that. Like that, I think most women want to know, because it is hard to tell. Like, and sometimes they don't want to come off as like, oh fuck, I want to get out of the friend zone, so let me shoot
Yeah.
my shot real quick. So by sending like a quick DM, like she said, like how can we tell? What's a
Um,
sign that would make us believe like, oh, he's trying to take it there?
the sign that they're trying to take it there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After being
I
friends for
mean,
a while.
sometimes it's the emojis. It could be the hearty face emoji. Okay, it could be.
Oh,
It could
true.
be. It could be. It could be the combination with the fire and the hearty face emoji together. They
That's
can hit you
true.
with the combo,
The combo.
or they could just blatantly tell you, like, hey, it's been X, Y, and Z amount of years, and I'm low key feeling you. What you trying to do? You know, that it
Would
could
you?
be that too.
Would you do something
Um,
like that? Like if you came, like knowing there's potential that you can possibly ruin that friendship that is so tight. You know what I'm saying?
I've done that before. I've done that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I've done
What
that.
was the end result?
Yeah.
She liked me too. Yeah,
Oh,
she, yeah,
but
but
see,
Okay.
that is that
but
why you hit her up? Because you knew there was something there?
um, it's like sometimes you can be friends with somebody for a long time, right?
Mhm.
And you get to know them, and then you get to know a lot about them, and when you talk a lot, sometimes it can get flirty, you know.
Mhm.
Mm.
And then when it gets flirty, you have the opportunity in that moment. It's like 0.5 seconds to 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 make it take it to the next level of like
Yeah.
Mhm.
acting on that, or just brushing it off and keeping it, you know, friendly, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because when you have a close friend that's the opposite sex, obviously you're gonna start talking about different topics, and you can get into the real details of that person or the other person, and you can cross that line, right? But I feel like it also goes back to the basis of your friendship, how it started. It could have started on some real friendship type stuff. It could have
Mhm.
started on some flirty stuff, and you guys never acted on it, and you let it go. And then years later, you want to round back to, remember that time when you said we was going, you know? So honestly, I don't have a direct answer, but you kind of have to just fill it out. But definitely the combination of the fire emoji with the hearty face, or
That's it. Okay.
or yeah,
Noted.
that can set it off. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense because that means you're putting in effort to
yeah,
elaborate
yeah,
on the emojis.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, I give you know, I give you compliments all the time, you know, and it's like, but I'm not being super thirsty about it, you know. I'm not like,
Yeah.
damn girl, you looking so good
Right.
today, like, you know, like I'm just
Yeah.
You've
like,
never come
yeah,
off as the thirsty guy or like
Yeah.
yeah,
disrespectful or anything like that.
Yeah, by the
yeah.
way,
So
this is nothing to you. Like I hope you don't feel like we're trying to like jam you up on something. Like
oh no,
it's definitely like Travis, like we have mad respect for you. Like
I appreciate it.
which is why we like, you know, are asking you to these questions that
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we feel as women we would want to know what a man is really thinking. And
Right.
so a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
the times, a lot of things that you've already told us, it kind of confirms what we've thought, but it feels
Mhm.
good to know that we're not way far off. Like, you know, because sometimes
Oh no, yeah,
nothing's worse than like getting like a false like like if you get offended for certain
Mhm.
things when you know like that's not really what they meant. So like so far it
Mhm.
seems like you're giving us what we think we're already thinking, you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
you guys are on the right track, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
feel like with Travis, because he's like such a pure-hearted person and he's such a genuinely nice person, I'm gonna go with whatever he tells me, even if I don't want to hear it. Me and T
Yeah.
have had a lot of conversations. Let me tell you,
Mhm.
he knows about some of my deep secrets. And I think that every time I've shared things with him, even when I didn't want to hear certain things, he's told me. And I was like, damn, because it's coming from him, I receive it well. You know, like
Mhm.
I know it's
Yeah.
coming from a good place. So I always appreciate his advice. And, you know, that's basically why we brought him on too, because
Yeah.
we already know he's going to keep it 100 with us.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And some
Vice
of these
versa though.
questions. What's that?
I said vice versa, because
Yeah,
you
because
know
you know,
she tells me, you know, stuff I don't want to hear too, and I'll be like, damn.
it sucks how like you gotta soak it in like, fuck,
Yeah,
I thought I was
you got
wrong.
yeah.
Hey T, do you remember that one time I was giving you so much shit for being on I think it was like Tinder, and I was like, can't believe you used that, and I was just like hella talking shit to you.
Oh yeah.
And then one night I'm riding around LA and I get a screenshot and I get a text from T, and he's like, hey, is this you?
Got your ass
on Tinder.
Found
on
me on
Tinder.
Tinder. And I was talking all this shit about him being on it. I
Mm.
was just curious. I was like, let me see what this is about. And you
I
know, all I
remember.
found was trouble.
I
All I
remember
found was
Mhm.
trouble.
when Angie first told me about her jumping on this Tinder thing, and I was like, okay, so what is it? She's like, girl, I'm having fun. Like, it's it's like it's fun, like to kind of get to know, strangers, like complete strangers, as opposed to running into someone at the club, at the store, or someone trying to holler at you somewhere. So I remember that. So she was talking shit in the beginning, huh?
Yeah, she was like, "Why you
Mad
on
shit.
there? Ain't gonna be no genuine people on there." So you know, I'm on a late night swiping, and I'm like, "Oh, look who we have here." Okay, all right, we're on
Got
Tinder
caught.
now. Yeah,
I would have been embarrassed. I would have been like, oh fuck, that ain't me. Who's trying to be me?
that's a fake
I was
profile. Somebody getting
driving.
catfish.
For real.
I know.
No.
You know what? I should have said that. I should have been like, you know what? You better report that shit because I know that ain't me.
Well, I did do that. I jumped on Tinder for a little bit while I was like going through my breakup. Travis, you remember I went through a breakup recently, and
Mhm,
my dumb ass jumped on Tinder because I was like, I'm bored. I
mhm.
need some attention. I've been with my man for way too long. Like, I need to know how to start over. Man, when I tell you, so many people were hitting me up talking about, hey, someone's trying to be you on Tinder. I hit them with that. Ooh, you right. I was like, can you report it, please? I was hella
Oh,
embarrassed. I
shoot.
was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. And then I would get, oh my God, it was so many. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, and then the cool thing is though, none of them believed that I would actually be on Tinder. So they would
Oh,
hit me
gotcha.
with a, hey, someone's trying to be you on Tinder. I'm like, say it ain't so.
Who
Who is it? And
You're
then
like, thanks for telling me.
all along it was me, man. So then I decided that, because see, I didn't know, Angie didn't fucking tell me how Tinder works. I didn't know that it was around your area. I thought
Yeah.
I could choose the area. And she's like, no,
Oh,
bitch, you
nah.
gotta pay for that. And I was like, fuck. So I got caught. I got caught.
Oh,
But
shit.
Angie, I know you got another question. Yours is good.
Yes. So, and you might have seen this because I just posted this the other day. But basically, why do guys switch up after you turn them down?
Why do they switch up after you turn them down?
Yeah.
As far as like giving you attitude, or like not giving you the same energy.
Exactly. Not giving me the same energy. They stop liking it. The first tell all is when they stop liking all your shit. That's when you know. And then when they stop looking at your stories. And then if you hit them up, just trying to be cool, they don't respond.
It's an ego thing.
Mm-hmm.
You killed off the ego. It's like they felt like they had a shot with you, and then you're like, nah. And then they're like, I don't want to say it, but they're like, forget you then,
Like, fuck you then.
Yeah, I would say
Mm-hmm.
not directed towards you, but they're like, well, fuck you then.
Fuck you then.
Like,
You're right. You're right.
I'm gonna go to the next person. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it's an ego thing, because at the end of the day, they feel like, oh, I can get that, and then you're like, nope, you can't have this. Not that easy,
Mm-hmm.
But that's how you
true.
weed them out anyway. If they do that, that lets you know that they wasn't shit in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because somebody could come at you and try to, talk to you, and then you say, nah, I'm good. And if they keep on trying to pursue you,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll say, oh, well, they must be, kind of genuine. Let me give it a shot. But if they're like, fuck you, I don't want to look at your pictures no more. Then you already know,
Right.
like, you don't have to waste your time. You know what I
Ooh,
mean?
you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
notes.
See?
Note, write that down.
This
lady.
is the tea. This is the tea I'm telling
You're right,
y'all.
because
this is how he gives it to me. And I'll be like, hurt.
Yeah. Because like we were kind of close. We assumed that it was, the definition I think for women is that they're just bitter. They're
Mhm.
just they just don't want to see you, shining anymore because they just moved on, or they really didn't care. They just wanted to tap that anyway. But like you said, there are men that will get denied and they're still intrigued by following up on you, what you're doing, what you up to.
Mhm.
And I think fellas should know this, that if you continue that you never know, that may open up the door, that may make her feel like, oh damn, you weren't turned off by the way that I said no, like you were
Mhm.
willing to continue to look. Maybe this guy is interested. Maybe this guy wanted more than just sex. So this is cool. Like there may be run that back around where she might see your DM and be like, you know what? How are you? How
Mhm.
are you since the last time we talked and I kind
Yeah.
of said I wasn't ready for that? That may be like a little turn on. So it's a good thing, I think, if you continue to see, because it shows, like you said, your ego when you are, and how immature you are when you're just like, man, fuck you, and you stop
Mhm.
looking through their
Mhm.
stuff. So it kind of shows you, like you said, you dodge a bullet there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm. And then
Yeah.
I
And,
also
and,
think
and women do that too. Don't get it twisted.
True. True.
Yeah.
This is true.
I don't
I've
know. I'm
muted.
too prideful. I'm too
I've
prideful.
muted a few people.
I'll be like, wait, you didn't know that I didn't like you didn't know I liked you? You didn't think you didn't see my thoughts? You didn't hear my thoughts? You didn't know that because I'm just not gonna be like full on I like you and that's just not me. But there's some people that are more blunt and they'll be like, hey, what's up? What's good? And
Mm,
see, I appreciate the come around. I might shut you down for sport, maybe once or
mhm,
twice. But
mhm.
if you come around maybe the third time, I might say, okay, let's see what this is about. Because then I'm like, oh, he's persistent. Oh, he knows how to be consistent. But as soon
Yeah.
as he starts being salty and starts acting all, like a bitch, basically, I'm gonna
Mhm.
feel some type of way. And I'm gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna give you a second thought.
And it's funny that you said that because I know some women that do that. They'll say
Hmm.
no the first couple times to anybody
Yep.
to weed them out, right?
Yep.
To see
Hmm.
who is persistent, right?
Who
Yep.
stands? Who's the last man standing?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how they kind of gauge who they go out on dates with because they're on date naps too. And they give me like the inside scoop.
True.
So they tell me like they'll reject people who slide a DM or they won't act on it so quick, even if they think they are like
Mhm.
potential because they want to weed them out.
Okay, I agree with that. I'll be honest with you. Yes, I think the reason why some women do that is because we're interested to see who is like really wanting to take it there. So you're right. There's some to the fact that like when you say no and they still come around or they're still interested, it's like it's a turn on. It's like, okay, so you really do like fuck with me. It's not just
Hmm.
on some like, let me hit that and leave type of thing. So
Yeah.
maybe fellas, if you're listening, maybe shoot your shot. You never know. Because a lot of the times, and I hate this about us women, we are the type that we forget that y'all can't read our minds. And so
Hmm.
we'll be mad, like we get defensive, or we feel some type of way. And it's like, well, girl, did you even tell him how you actually feel?
Yeah.
No. Well, shit. Then you can't get mad at him when he's like, leaving you because you
Yeah.
said no.
Hmm.
Yeah, man. All right. So listen, apparently that's all the time we have with you. Otherwise, we're gonna hit you with some like dirty shit. And so we know you
Oh
would need
damn.
more time. You will need more time for that. So
just
instead,
just bring me back.
we're gonna bring you back. Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll plan it so we can bring you back because there's a lot of serious questions that we like. We just touched on the edge. There was a lot of shit that we wanted to dive into, and we will eventually. But for now, I want to say thank you so much, man, for even taking the time. I know you're out of your busy schedule for even making time for us.
I
So
appreciate
I
it.
know that there's a lot that you have going on. If you want to plug real quick, so we can shout you out. And thank you, by the way, for the merch. Actually Andrew's wearing one right now. I have one of the shirts too, or you got it too. The material is dope. I love the bubble, the detail on the bubble print.
The puff
Super
print.
dope.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So please tell them how they can find you and where they can find your merch, and it's all your work.
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram. My clothing line is avenue.88. So AVENUE.88. Avenue88clothing.com. You can find my merch on there. Promoting self-love, self-care. So right now we launched a collection, the Cafe 88 collection. So it's basically, like I said, promoting self-love, self-awareness. It says you're perfect on the front. On the back, it says just the
Just
way
the
you
way
are.
you are. Yeah.
And it's just like, basically I'm saying like, even though you're not like, you might not be where you want to be as far as like how you see yourself, but you got to remind yourself that you're good right where you are,
Yep.
You are that bitch. You are that bitch, ladies.
like she said.
She said it for me.
Yeah.
Because you know
You
what?
also-
You've always had like you've always had a fashion, like your own unique style. I've always thought it was
Thanks.
dope. Like, so the fact that you like dove into this, not like out of nowhere. This is something that you've been passionate about, and it's
Yeah.
unique. And these are all prints that you're coming out with your own creative
my
on,
own,
right?
yeah, my own. I design everything.
Yeah.
I run everything myself. even though I'm behind the scenes on Instagram, it's me.
There it
Mhm.
is.
I do all the photo shoots. I do everything, you know. So it's definitely a grind, but it's something that I've been working on for a while, but I finally brought it to life.
One
Avenue
man
88
band.
One man band. Avenue 88 is actually a street where my grandparents were farmers in
Mhm.
Pixley
Oh wow.
on Avenue 88. So
That's
that's how I
dope.
got the name. So it's like kind of like that foundation of like hard work, dedication, creativity. I put it into my brand. So that's how I got the name.
I love that. So if you
Yeah.
want to support, man, like I said, he's genuinely a cool dude. It's not just someone we don't know. Like this is like
Yeah.
it's him working hard to get his. So honestly, I hope nothing but the best for you in the future. I really hope people start picking this up and understanding that this is really your hard work
Yes.
that you're putting into. It's not just I'm trying to make some quick money. You genuinely care about
Mhm.
people's mental health. You genuinely care about people. You genuinely care about, making sure and recognize who you are and value yourself. And I think
Yeah.
that comes from the fact that you've been through some dark places.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
know
for
what I'm
sure. Yeah.
saying? Yeah. So because you came out of that and you're still every day obviously reaching for that, I think that's why this clothing line is it's so special to you. So
Yeah.
man, I hope and honestly, like I said, I hope it blows up and we're gonna do our part in making sure we show you love because
No, I appreciate that.
day one, we've always had your back. So
Yeah.
yeah, we got you. And we're gonna bring you back, like I said. And now
Yeah,
question, are you
bring me
single?
back.
Because we're gonna get that question. Are you single?
I am single.
Okay,
You
okay.
know, and I'm trying not to be single, okay? But it's hard. It's hard out here in them streets, okay?
You know,
Are
it's
not
out
you
out
for
here.
It's hard, but
He
hey,
said it's hard.
it's
I'm
hard. It is,
tired.
but I am
It's hard.
tired.
It's hard for him to select from his options. That's
what it is, right? Andrew, please tell him what it really is. Because when
It's
he
not.
say he's single, he's not saying he's single. He ain't got options. He got
He
options.
said he's single, not lonely. Okay.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, I didn't say that. I'm single. I'm
Okay.
single.
Mhm.
Yeah. But maybe you guys might know somebody. If you do, send them my way.
Send him. Okay. We're gonna tag you
Hey,
down
tell 'em-
below
Yeah, tell them slide in the DM with the Hardy face and the fire emoji together.
so that I know.
So you
So
know
now I
it's
know.
real.
The combo.
So yeah, the
So
combo.
you know it's real.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
thank you so
funny.
much, Travis, for joining us.
Yeah,
We'll get you
I
back, like we
appreciate
said.
it.
You take care, all right?
All right, you too. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. It's all
Thank
love.
you.
And you guys are perfect just the way you are.
Ah.
Ah.
All right, you take care, man.
All right.
Bye.